Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. My eyes aren't working very well today.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Aren't your eyes working?
I don't know. I think it's so bright out. The sun is like making its presence felt since we haven't seen it all week.
Yeah, we're recording this around noon our time, so it's a little bright coming in the window, but that's all right.
I like it.
So, we ready to roll?
Let's do it.
So, there's something that I've been thinking about this week, and it's how freaking hot Jen looked in one of her social media posts.
Not the point.
Yeah, I know that was not your intention, but it certainly stopped the scroll on me, and that's kind of the point. You stopped the scroll, but in all seriousness, you did look hot.
The cowboy hat picture that you posted stopped my scroll, and we will have a deeper conversation about the beard coming in thicker.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
So she posted this, and I love the message so much on what she said that we just want to turn into a full podcast episode because it hit, and I think based around your post, most people don't fail because they're not trying. They fail because they're trying the wrong way.
Yeah.
That was kind of the synopsis of your post.
Like 3 feet from gold.
Yeah.
Right? The crazy part is they keep trying harder. Right? And it may be something that was never built for them or a system that may not apply to that specific goal. They just don't know any different. There's not one way to get results.
Anything.
There's not. There's a reason they're just saying there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yep.
Right? Because there are. And honestly, that's exactly why most people stay stuck. Because people are trying to constantly force themselves into one program, one plan, one right way. And then when it doesn't work, they question the plan. They don't question the plan. They question themselves.
Yeah, and I know you're leaning into the fitness, but it's the same thing for business. It's the same thing for investing. People think I just need this right deal, or I need this right timing, or I need this right strategy for whatever they're going to do. But they're actually just trying to copy someone else's approach because that's what they've seen without understanding that person's situation. And does it fit their situation with what they're wanting to do in business or investing?
Yeah, that's when everything breaks down.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking of a client. We will remove names. Lovely. For years, she was convinced she knew exactly what she needed to do. And she's been working at this specific goal for more than 15 years. Think about that dedication, right? She believed if I just lift more, I'll burn body fat, which is true. So she did. She trained hard. She was consistent. 6 days a week, she showed up. And on paper, it looked like she was doing everything right. But she kept running into the same frustration. Scale was not moving the way she wanted. And her body wasn't changing the way she expected. She automatically understood that muscle weighs more than fat. But she's like, why do I still look fat? I'm doing everything right. So naturally, she thought, I just need to push harder. I just need more workouts. I need more discipline. But here's what she didn't understand yet. And it took us a hot minute to find it. Her body was actually really good at building muscle. And not everybody's is. Hers is like, she could look at a 5-pound weight and put on 5 pounds of muscle. Like really good at putting on muscle. Because she's been training for it for 15 years. So every time she trained harder, she wasn't necessarily losing fat. She was building even more muscle. But here's where it got tricky, right? She looked at her body and assumed, this has got to be fat. Look how fat I am. But in reality, a lot of what she was seeing was muscle. And it took us a hot minute to get her to see that piece because she didn't have the right context. She kept applying the wrong solution. More lifting, more effort, more pushing. And she stayed stuck in that cycle, doing more of what she thought was right, but not actually getting the results she wanted. So the shift occurred when we really dug into her situation. I realized that obviously this isn't a work ethic problem, right? This isn't a discipline problem. This is a strategy problem. She didn't need more muscle. She needed to target fat loss specifically and keep feeding the muscle a little bit, right? So instead of continuing to pile on more lifting, we shifted the approach. She still got to lift, but we took it down in terms of frequency, 2 to 3 times a week, because she's so good at packing on muscle. So we kept her lifting, but we introduced a peptide strategy to help her body so that it actually targeted fat loss and supported the actual specific outcome she was after. So she not only did not want the scale to move, she wanted to target fat loss completely while retaining all of this muscle. So you have to have a strategy when you're doing this. But this is when everything started to click, because for the first time, we weren't guessing. We weren't just doing more. We were aligning with a plan with how her body actually works. And once that alignment happened, I will tell you her body responded. Not because she was suddenly working harder, but because she was finally working smarter. Same goal. Completely different path once it was built around her specific body. Now, I know it's a little bit different than what you do, Matt, but regardless of the industry or the goal, it always falls back to the right system for that person, right? Yeah. Do you happen to have an example you can share?
Well, I'm gonna go back to what you just said, because you're talking fitness and turning it to a business example. It is the exact same thing. You just said same goal, completely different path. Once it was built around where he was at. Mm-hmm. So the example I have is the exact same thing you just said, but it's more based around a business. So the example that I'm ready to talk about is this guy I was introduced to. He works in corporate America, and he got introduced to me because our mutual friend thought that we had a lot in common. And he said, "Hey, I've got this buddy. He works in corporate America. I think you guys got a lot in common. I'd really like you to chat with him. He's kind of at a crossroads, and he needs a little bit of advice." And I said, "Sure. See, this guy understands what a lot of people in corporate America realize, that they're going to do well financially, but it never is going to provide them the financial freedom that they really want, and more important, that time freedom that you're looking for." And that's what he was looking for. So he had done some stuff already, which was leading to the frustration. He had some investments. He tried to flip some things. And when I say flip things, I'm talking about, flipping cars, flipping watches. There's things out there you can do to do a little bit of, to build a little bit of income. And he told me, when we met, he told me about this, and he said, none of them were really providing the consistent income that he was looking for. And it took a lot of time to research to learn about watches and what cars he could flip and the investments. And he had now transitioned to a path of looking at different businesses that he could run while also working in corporate America. And he was looking at like franchises, things like that. And I'd equate that to like our gyms, a lot of the different businesses. And I have experience in this. So I was more than willing to jump in and share my experience and my thoughts. But before I go any further, if you're doing something outside of your job, obviously when you're at your job, you give it your all. I mean, you've got to earn that paycheck and do what they're doing. But if you're doing something outside your job to get ahead, I congratulate you. In fact, I think it's almost a must in today's environment, is that you've got to be doing that. But when you have goals, what are you willing to do to get there? So for me, working in corporate America and running businesses was absolutely the right path. But it's not the right path for everyone. This is getting back into that, what's your situation? So just like what you did with fitness, I went back to his goals, and I was trying to figure out a system that would work for him, because I know some of the pitfalls of trying to run businesses while working in corporate America. So I wanted to see what his goals were and where he was at. And here's I'm going to sum it up. A long conversation turned into, he really wanted time freedom. Mm. However, he did not want to significantly adjust his current lifestyle. He was not living an over-the-top lifestyle. He just didn't want it to go completely backwards. So he already said to me, those other things he was doing was taking up some time to learn them and research them. So I knew we were going there. But here's the key. He's married and has two teenage kids. So They're involved in all the sports.
All the things.
All the things. So love it or hate it, I told them the truth. And if anyone listening right now is thinking about this, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you want to go into business while working in corporate America, you basically have two options. Number one, you need to quit your full-time job immediately, which means your standard of living is going to go backwards. And you're going to have to give up some time freedom to run that business for a while, but it could pay off huge. I'm not talking you out of it. I'm telling you the reality. The second one is you do what I did. You stay at your job, but your time freedom is gone. You have no time to do other things. Now, you can build a great team around you eventually, which is what we've done. But you can't build that team if you haven't done everything in that business first. If you haven't cleaned the toilets, if you haven't done whatever it is that you've got to do that. But your nights and weekends are gone for a while. And those are the two options. And he seemed very deflated. Obviously, I would too if that's the advice I just got. And I had zero intention into going into an investment conversation with this guy. But he wanted a steady stream of income. He didn't want to give up his current lifestyle. And he didn't want to give up the time freedom that he already had. I said, there is a system for you. Just like you were talking about the fitness, there is a system for you that matches your goals. And you don't have to spend what it would cost to start a business. You have less stress, less risk, maybe less payoff at the end. But you got to figure out what the situation is and what the goals are. And I told him that there's so many benefits to opening a business, including the upside down the road once you get that thing up and running. But he needed to think about what is the right system to get him to his goals. Is it that he wants to say, I own a business, and he wants to be able to tell his friends that? No, it was not that. He wanted time freedom, financial freedom. All right, you got to build a system around that. So he wasn't doing something wrong. In fact, he was doing right by researching. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just trying to apply a strategy that does not match where he is at right now with marriage, kids, time freedom, and lifestyle.
Yeah. People want one thing that works for everyone, right? It doesn't exist. And that's okay, because real progress doesn't come from forcing yourself into a system. It comes from building one around you. When I look at clients, I take every single one individually. They don't all need the same thing. I think I've made that very clear with that last story I shared, right? Like, some need a reset. Some need structure. Some need support. And some are ready to go all in. Same thing in investing. Some people need education. Some people need exposure. Some people need a simple way to get started or a long-term strategy. And trying to skip steps is usually what keeps people stuck. Same goal, different starting points, different path. That's what people miss.
Yeah, and I told that story, but I think we like to, in this podcast, if you've been listening to it for a while, we like to mix in our own stuff. We've got problems we've had to work through too.
Oh yeah.
And I'll throw a personal story in. I was completely burnt out a while back. When I say a while back, we're talking years ago. And I was working 1 million hours. 4 or 5 years ago. I was working 1 million hours a week. I was trying to be perfect in all areas of my life, but I was being average in the areas that actually counted. Think about that. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that listen to us that are a lot like me. And are you being average in the areas that actually matter? That's when you got to stop. You got to figure out what system works for you. Mm-hmm. Because you go back to my story earlier, if I would have said, yeah, go open a business, that system was not right for him for what his goals were. And he would have been burnt out. He would have been in the same path that I was.
You know, it's funny. I'm going to interrupt, and I'm so sorry. So sorry. I love
You're good.
It's interesting though, like with our son, wanted to get into real estate investing, but the more systems he looked at, he's like, I actually think I want to buy one and learn. And now, like joking around with his girlfriend, she's like, he has to be doing something all the time. So this was a perfect thing for him because he's busy.
Yeah.
And if he's not busy, he's going to find something to take apart to put it back together.
He's not a passive investor. He's an active investor.
He likes getting his hands dirty, and and now he's waging a war with every gopher in Bonner Springs, Kansas. So it's interesting because like you preach that passive because that's what you seek. That's what you craved.
Yes.
Whereas our son's like, no, I want I want to do all the things. I need to tinker to keep myself busy or I'm just going to get bored.
Yeah, that's the system, even in family. My son and I cannot have the same system.
Fair.
Everyone needs their own system. But
sorry,
I interrupted. You're good. Back to what I was saying. I was trying at that time when I was saying I was doing a lot of things. I was trying to do. This is kind of my workout example. I was trying to do a workout system that was built for probably a college student, and I'm not talking like actual lifting, like deadlifts and things like that, because I still do all that. But the time and the nutrition that was needed around that a college student can probably fit into their schedule, and I can't. I was trying to spend a couple hours at the gym every single day while working a ton of hours already. It was the wrong system for me. I was trying to prepare all my food while doing a bunch of traveling. Side note, 4-day-old chicken and broccoli heated up in the microwave at a gas station and eaten in your car sucks ass.
Probably smells terrible too.
It smells terrible too. I was working in a system that was not built around my life. When I finally got to that breaking point, I said, there has to be a better system out there. But that was the only thing that I knew up to that point. And it all changed when we started assembling coaches and mentors in our lives that could help show me that there was actually a different system to fit my body and my lifestyle and what I was doing. I didn't know that existed at that time.
Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember the baby food situation? Like,
I don't remember that one.
Oh my God. You're like, I got to go buy baby food. I'm like, why?
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Well, you got to get your vegetables. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. So I was
very supportive.
That's just a prime example of the systems, whether it's in business or it doesn't matter. You have to find the system that works for you. Otherwise it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, this showed up in business, right? Things were working. We've been very successful in our businesses for the most part. We were growing. And from the outside, it looked successful. Like, they don't give dummies awards, right? But I could feel the ceiling. Could I feel the ceiling. And I didn't understand why, because I was doing everything right. I'm working hard. I'm involved in everything. I'm holding the standard, right? I'm setting that example for my staff so that they just have to duplicate. So I thought, just do more. Just do even more. Like, I can't break the ceiling. But that was the problem. The business worked only because of me, which meant it couldn't grow past me. It wasn't scalable. It wasn't duplicatable, which is why the minute we started duplicating, we failed miserably, right? That was the shift, right? If everything requires you, it will always stay limited to you. So I had to change, and not by working harder. Oh my goodness, right? But by building systems, training people, finding different areas of leverage, and letting go of control. I still struggle with that. Managers, thank you for being patient with me and calling me out when I'm doing it. But once I stopped being the one holding it all together, that's when it actually started to grow. I use this example a lot when I'm training people too. If somebody wants to interrupt, like, hey, my card's not working. I'm like, awesome. I am paying a person right over there that can help you with every question you've got. And they're like, oh yeah, but Jen, real quick. I'm like, nope, I'm doing this. I'm not doing that. If I'm doing that, my butt would be in that chair. Go ask them. They want to help. They want to help you. And they get a commission from it. And it's great. But the bottom line, right? You can't scale something that only works when you're the one doing it. Once that actually fit in my life, everything changed.
Yeah, it's the same here. Once I stopped trying to do what I thought I should and started doing a way that actually made sense, that's when things started to finally start moving for me.
Yeah. This is why people get stuck on their own, right? Because from the inside, it feels like you're doing everything right.
Yeah. Fitness.
I'm just going back in my head from when you were like, but I have to do 2 a day. So I'm like, why? Because I have to. I'm like, why?
It was a system I knew. Yeah. I learned that in high school. Yeah. But if you look at this, fitness, investing, opening businesses, it's all the same.
It is.
People don't move, not because they don't care, because they don't have the right approach to where they are at right now. So if you're feeling stuck right now, it's probably not an effort thing, and it's probably not a discipline thing either.
Yeah. Yep.
If you've been trying to follow a system that doesn't fit your life, that is why you feel stuck right now.
Yeah. And when the right system does show up, that's when everything finally clicks.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's wrap there. I think closing us out, I think it was pretty obvious of what our intentions were today was for everyone to sit back and look at an area that maybe matters a lot in your life, that you're average, that you need to be better than average, and figure out what system you're using right now. And is that the right approach for where you're at?
Yeah.
And if it's not, it's time to make a change in that area.
Yeah. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
That's right. I love it.
Okay. Guys, you know what to do. We'll talk to you next week.